Welcome back to Stockbox here live from Resourcing Tomorrow. We're here with George B., the President and CEO of US Gold Corp. Now, we spoke to you last year in the same place. You've got exactly the same stand. Give us a sense, if you can, first of all, if you can remember, how this compares to last year. Is there more people here, more interest, or?
You know, we see a little bit lean. We'd like to see more generalist investors, and one would expect that. With gold going where it is and increasing, we're very bullish on gold, and copper is doing really well.
Yeah.
So we'd like to see more generalist investors, but we've got some we've got a full schedule, so there's a fair amount of interest.
So when you say generalist investors, you're talking like private individuals?
Yeah, people that normally would maybe invest in the stock market, which is overvalued. The resource sector is just the place to be at the moment, in our view.
Yeah, because it's quite undervalued, isn't it, really?
Absolutely.
It's had a tough year, yeah.
Absolutely. From a supply side, we are now with our CK Gold project, a project which is permitted, ready to go. And there aren't, prices of metals have gone up. There's more interest from exploration companies. But the difference is that it takes a long time to permit projects. So we're rather unique in that we're ready to go, fully permitted.
Good. Well, I wonder maybe the lack of perhaps retail investors, because we've seen it as well. Our audience are retail investors, so our numbers have dropped off. The chat in the groups has dropped off. I think it comes down to really, cost of living crisis, inflation. I don't know. Now that Trump's been elected and that uncertainty at least is out the way, now we've got certainty in the US for a few years, maybe it'll also bring some bullishness back to the markets, because we really do need it.
Well, I totally agree with you. And, there is still some uncertainty. So having a little gold in your portfolio, investing in gold stocks, which are really undervalued, is a great thing. And obviously, in our case, we have copper as well, which, as you look at stimulus spending, the copper is really needed to a part of that.
Precious metals and copper have been mentioned to me a number of times as some of the hot commodities. And you're right, everyone should have gold in their portfolio. What's the rule of a quarter? It's like a quarter in property, a quarter in precious metals, a quarter in cash, and a quarter in sort of risk assets. So, I do buy my sovereigns. I've been a little bit more painful buying my sovereigns recently with, of course, the price of gold. But, it's a good problem to have, isn't it?
Yeah, well, look, I'm not going to give any investment advice, but, let the numbers speak for themselves, certainly on our project.
Yeah, indeed. So you mentioned the permitting process. Last time we spoke, you said you were focused on that permitting process, expecting to secure permits in the first half of the year. So that obviously happened okay without any problems.
It happened. Our project is in the state of Wyoming in the United States. Look, we know the rules of the game there. The people in the state of, the regulatory authorities in Wyoming, it's a resource state. They know the rules of the game. There are no pushovers. They do a great job, but they're motivated to actually give you a permit. So we don't have any federal government involvement. So really what happened was that we essentially put our permit in September of 2022. We expected it this year. We got conditional approval in April, May. The conditions, three conditions were met in May, and our final air quality permit was approved last month in November. And I think you can see that reflected in the share price.
Okay, good. That's performed well over the course of this year, has it?
Absolutely, yeah. No, we almost doubled in the last month, yeah.
Good. Well, the gold price probably helping you a little bit as well.
Look, it's always nice to be on a rising tide, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed. Now, I'm not going to ask you to make predictions of gold prices, but I kind of am at the same time. Where do you think we are in the gold price situation at the moment?
We saw gold go up, and then there was a little bit of a correction back. I think that's healthy.
Of course it is.
But we're very bullish on gold. With the uncertainty, goodness, look at all of the events going on around the world, the amount of money that's being printed. I think everybody should have at least a little bit of gold, and central banks have been buying. Yep. So, between private investors, central banks, if somebody ever challenges the hegemony of the US dollar,
Gold's where you want to be.
Gold's where you want to be.
Indeed. So just picking up on last year as well, you were talking about plans to raise $250 million to develop that project there, and you expect to be in production late 2025. So just first of all on that funding, what's the situation with the funding?
Okay, so the our pre-feasibility study, which was it's a little dated now. We needed $222 million of initial capital to build a project. I indicated 250 million last year. We're still seeing inflation. We're probably closer to 290 to 300 million. What we're waiting for at the moment is just to finish our studies.
Okay.
Our studies into a bankable feasibility study in the first half of the next year.
Okay.
And we see a lot of interest in our product, which is a copper gold concentrate, and the ability to raise that $300 million.
Okay.
So, we wouldn't be doing it on all equity. We're shareholders, so we'd be looking at offtakes, debt facilities from equipment suppliers.
Okay.
Any way that we can raise the capital that we need to build the project without excessive dilution for our shareholders.
Okay. And if you started sort of going down that track now, then, and
yeah, well, look, we have, and that's part of the reason why we're in London.
Okay.
Talking to some of the financing agencies, keeping them abreast of the project.
Sure.
Some of the new opportunities that we've unearthed and identified.
Mm-hmm.
So, everybody's waiting for our formal bankable feasibility study. We're well on our way to producing that.
Okay. So the feedback you've got when you're talking to potential investors, financiers, is it coming really down to getting that bankable feasibility study finished and in front of their eyes?
It is,
Okay.
and really, one of the off-takers has some flotation technology. They asked us to take a look at it. We paused while we did that, whether we decided to do conventional flotation or Glencore Technologies Jameson cells. We'll have that test work done. We'll finalize our feasibility study, in the new year. Okay. So by June.
Okay, so can we expect to see that BFS Q1?
No,
Q2.
Q2.
Okay. And would that still put you on track for production next year, or are we looking at slipping a little bit?
No, that's slipped. Because really, if we get the funding in place, Q3 timeframe, we could break ground. But it's about 12 to 18 months. So I think look for production in 2027.
Okay, excellent. And I think last year you told me about 120 million of annual cash flow would be targeted. So I wanted to see if that's still the case, if that's realistic, or any updates on that.
That's absolutely realistic.
Okay.
We anticipate probably a 2-year payback.
Okay.
And then 100 to $200 million of free cash flow emanating from the project. That certainly sets us up for looking at some of our other projects. And we've got super exploration projects, a great project in Nevada, Keystone.
Well, let's talk about that. Keystone, that's my next question. What can you give us updates on that project?
So, we have been very careful with our treasury. We've put it into the development path for the CK Gold project, but we have done some remote work on Keystone.
Okay.
And that remote work, satellite spectrography, has identified a bunch more targets. So what we're looking for at the moment is maybe putting some of our data into an AI model to see if we can sort through. The AI is very good at simulating data, looking at comparisons to known deposits. And then as soon as the market conditions are right, we would be very happy to partner up or raise capital for an exploration push at Keystone.
Okay, good. Well, thank you very much. So, do you think you're back in a year's time? You should have a pretty different story to tell in a year's time with that bankable feasibility on the stand.
Yeah, no, look, I think it will be very interesting in a year's time. We always enjoy coming to London. And stay tuned. I think there's a lot of news in the new year.
Well, on that note, indeed, stay tuned on Stopbox. Thank you very much for your time, George B., the President and CEO of US Gold Corp.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.